People often ask me, what do I do if I want to sell my business down the road? What do I do now if I want to get the best price for the business and have the best chance to achieve my goals? And the answer is extremely difficult because the principles that made your company successful, maybe it was, well, not maybe, it was watching cash flow. It was actually not necessarily going for top line, meaning gross, but going for net income. Because we have folks that do 75 to 100 million a year in sales and barely break even, and we have folks that do 20 million in sales and make $3 million or $4 million a year. And it's how you choose to run your business. And the problem with skinning down your business, which is generally the right way to get rid or ready to sell your business. What do I mean by that? You start to, if you weren't already doing this, you start to try and, if you know the people in your industry are going to be looking for top line, you start to go out and reach for sales that you wouldn't normally have gone for, that may have a higher chance of creating an account receivable that won't get paid. Or you do things that you may not have been doing before. And I have a client right now that refuses to do that, even though he knows that it would maximize the sale. He just has too much pride. And I don't disagree with him. He has too much pride on the way he runs his business. It is in the construction business. It's in the concrete business. And he builds a lot of big projects. So he can go after a project that he knows he can nail and do really well, but it doesn't bring in as much revenue, but it leaves him more money on the bottom line. Or if he's going to try and sell his business to a company that's rolling up concrete businesses, then he would need to pump his revenue so he looks bigger than he is. But if while he's pumping his revenue, he runs into a bad project because he didn't follow his business principles, and that creates a $2 million loss, he's lost on both ends. So the answer to the question is extremely difficult and not necessarily generic in terms of its answer. It depends on the business. Sometimes you have to make a very tough decision. As my mother told me a long time ago, don't fall in love with anything that doesn't love you back. So one of the toughest things is to decide when a deal's not worth doing, when it's hurting too much. If it keeps kicking you, every deal is going to have its ebb and flow and be tough, but if it keeps kicking you, if bad things keep happening, even though you're doing your very best, then it might be telling you, there's no way to get the rate of return that you think you're going to get. You should not be disrupting your family life over this, or you shouldn't be doing this. Whatever the issue is, you have to decide, in my mind, the three main, and the easiest way to look at a deal, pretty much any decision, is what do I really need to make this happen? That's number one. If you don't get that, get out of Dodge. Number two, what would I like to have? That's, pretty cool. If I get that, so much the better. And number three is, what am I going to give up to get one and two? If you break it down like that, pretty much any decision becomes a little bit easier. And the problem usually happens when folks can't put those into the three silos. And I beat on them in my own sweet way to try and make sure that they fully understand. And if they do, and under the rules of professional responsibility, I have to make a decision there. I either go with the flow and try and achieve everything that they want to achieve, or I say, you know what, maybe you ought to move on down the road.